Hi there. We're on day 266 of our Through the New Testament in 1 year. And we started Galatians yesterday. We did chapter 1 with an outline. Okay. And we know Paul is mad at the Galatians, right? For letting outside influences, Judaizers, he calls them, trying to bring the old covenant and mixing it in with the new covenant and giving them all kinds of laws and stuff they don't need to follow. The fact that they're following these people is what he's mad about. So we'll continue with chapter 2 today. Then, after 14 years, I went up again to Jerusalem with Barnabas, taking Titus along with me. I went up because of a revelation and set before them, though privately before those who seemed influential, the gospel that I proclaim among the Gentiles in order to make sure I was not running or had not run in vain. But even Titus, who was with me, was not forced to be circumcised, though he was a Greek. Yet because of false brothers secretly brought in, who slipped in to spy out our freedom that we have in Christ Jesus, so that they might bring us into slavery, to them we did not yield in submission even for a moment, so that the truth of the gospel might be preserved for you. And from those who seem to be influential, what they were makes no difference to me. God shows no partiality. Those, I say, who seemed influential added nothing to me. On the contrary, when they saw that I had been entrusted with the gospel to the uncircumcised, just as Peter had been entrusted with the gospel to the circumcised, for he who worked through Peter for his apostolic ministry to the circumcised worked also through me for mine to the Gentiles. And when James and Cephas and John, who seemed to be pillars, perceived the grace that was given to me, they gave the right hand of fellowship to Barnabas and me, that we should go to the Gentiles, and they to the circumcised. Only they asked us to remember the poor for the very thing I was eager to do. Right. Paul opposes Peter. But when Cephas came to Antioch, I opposed him to his face, because he stood condemned. For certain men came from James. He was eating with the Gentiles, but when they came, he drew back and separated himself, fearing the circumcision party. And the rest of the Jews acted hypocritically along with him, so that even Barnabas was led astray by their hypocrisy. But when I saw that their conduct was not in step with the truth of the gospel, I said to Cephas before them all, if you, though a Jew, live like a Gentile, and not like a Jew, how can you force the Gentiles to live like Jews? Hypocrisy, right? We ourselves are Jews by birth and not Gentile sinners. Yet we know that a person is not justified by works of the law, but through faith in Jesus Christ, right? So we also have believed in Christ Jesus in order to be justified by faith in Christ and not by works of the law, because by works of the law, no one will be justified. And that can't work your way into heaven. But if in our endeavor to be justified in Christ, we too were found to be sinners in Christ, then is Christ then a servant of sin? Certainly not. For if I rebuild what I tore down, I prove myself to be a transgressor. For through the law, I died to the law, so that I might live to God. I have been crucified with Christ. It is no longer I who live, but Christ who lives in me. Get that? And the life I now live in the flesh, I live by faith in the Son of God, who loved me and gave himself for me. I do not nullify the grace of God, for if righteousness were through the law, then Christ died for no purpose. Right? All this stuff in the Old Testament, you got to do and do and do and do. No. Faith in Christ. That's it. Right? Pretty cool, huh? So, and I think he's going to calm down here. Tomorrow's a good lesson, right? Faith or by works. Okay? So, there you go. That's chapter 2. Tomorrow we'll do chapter 3. Complete it. Good. So, there you have it. Another day, right? Amongst all the things that happen. Jesus is coming back soon, I have a feeling. There's lots of weird stuff going on. amongst them a huge revival, right? Massive, massive revival happening in the world right now. So, and that's a good thing, right? Pray for all those coming to Christ, that they won't be trapped by these Judaizers and hypocrites that says you have to do this, 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 and this, when all you have to do is give your life to Christ and be saved and accept his gift, right? So, not as hard as they make it out to be. So there you go. Catch up on yesterday. We did an outline of the whole book before starting it, right? With Chuck Swindoll's outline, right? And it's easy to catch up with Galatians. So do that if you want. Give us a like if you think about it, and we'll see you again tomorrow.